All right, it's Terminello take number 4. Lou Terminello, how did time fly so fast? And, it's been a fun run so far with the Giants and Jets making our Sundays just a bit better. But before we get into all of that, did you know Lou Terminello this month is National Disability Employment Awareness Month?
I did not know that, Alex. And again, great to be with you. Glad for making me aware of that.
And I'm sure you know why that matters to me, because I do advocate. And I like to say I try and be a voice within the community. And someone with disabilities in the sports world that I want to start out with is Jason Benetti. Obviously, cerebral palsy is something that can affect speech. But look at him. He's verified on Twitter. He's national. He does Fox games. He does the White Sox. I mean, the guy's all over the place. But he even does radio. So I want to give a little kudos to Jason Benetti for overcoming what he's gotten and doing, the game every day.
Yeah, Jason Benetti is a big-time talent. And obviously you just outlined, some of the properties that he works on. He just got hired by Fox. He was with ESPN for, I think, 11 years, and was hired by Fox in August to do college basketball, college football, MLB. He also, and I don't know how this contract with Fox will affect the fact that he was the play-by-play guy for the Peacock, the NBC Peacock game of the week, the Sunday game of the week that started at noon, which he did with various color commentators during the season. He's excellent. I mean, the guy can call basketball. He can call football. He succeeded Ken Harrelson, Hawk Harrelson, as the White Sox announcer. Harrelson, more a character of the game, in my opinion, which baseball has, than a great broadcaster. I know he's in the broadcaster's wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame, but I think for a pure play-by-play guy, Jason Benetti for the Sox has improved that telecast, and he works with Steve Stone, longtime analyst for the Sox.
I feel like if you go around Chicago, everybody, even if they're not a true baseball fan, knows Steve Stone, because obviously made his mark alongside Harry Carey as his color commentator, moved over to the booth on the south side with Kenny Harrelson. But one thing about Benetti is he's also funny. And I'm not saying that every announcer doesn't add some humor to it, but this guy can put in the jokes where he feels fitting, and I love that about him, too. He seems to add a lot of color to it.
Look, he has a great personality that comes through the microphone. Here's a kid who was born 10 weeks premature, and I believe when he was hospitalized because he was born premature, he had some kind of respiratory issue which affected oxygen going into his system, and that's what I think is where the cerebral palsy came in. I'm almost sure of that. He's undergone a lot of physical therapy early in his life. I know he had multiple surgeries, but that didn't stop him. Remember, as you know, you're a hero for the human spirit. What you've accomplished, overcoming what you've had to overcome in your life physically. He went to the University of Syracuse, went to the famous Newhouse School of Communications, where so many announcers have come from. We can be here for the next hour naming them. Then I think he has his law degree also. So he let nothing stop him, and he worked his way up, and now all that hard work is paying off. He's a big-time talent. I enjoy listening to him.
Yeah,
you see, unlike a lot of people, Alex, who say, well, I don't care who the announcer is, I'm going to watch the game, I don't watch the game for the announcer. Well, that's true. The game is the thing, but a well broadcast game, and when you have announcers who do a good job, it makes, for me, the game more enjoyable. I would love listening to an announcer who is going to engage me with the game than somebody who really isn't into his craft or doesn't get it. I mean, I'd listen to the Dodgers because of the late great Vince Scully. Where we've been lucky with so many different announcers here in New York, and even throughout the country. But and the other thing I like about Benetti, he's not a homer. Ken Harrelson, who preceded him, like I said, was more a character of the game, and he was a homer. Benetti, of course, wants to see the White Sox win.
The good guys up 8.
Yeah, good guys up 8. White Sox could be losing 10-0, and some kid could hit a home run and put it on the board. Yes, 10-0 in the 9th inning. So, but everybody has their style. That's what makes announcers different. But Benetti is an excellent one, and I know some people who are play-by-play announcers who know him and say he's a fantastic human being. So that's icing on the cake, obviously. But he does a terrific job. So that was a good call by you to talk about Jason Benetti today.
Well, I guess you didn't have much to say about him. No, just kidding. I love that. I love that we can highlight those because, look, disability in sports is not really covered as much. So I try and do that as well on this podcast. And we should be covering the Paralympics more. Anyway, that's another story for another day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lou, I had 4 teams coming to this postseason. I would hope win the chip. Obviously the Dodgers because of Vin. And as I keep telling you, I've never seen them win a World Series in 162. So I don't consider them, I don't consider seeing them win a World Series in the sense of the full season. So that being said, I was hoping for them. Obviously, the Yanks are number 1 I was hoping for. The Mets because of the Mets, and I want to see them finally get down Canyon of Heroes. The whole thing is, since we moved down here, we have not seen one professional
That's right, yes.
parade down the Canyon of Heroes. But maybe that'll change eventually. But then I chose the Phillies because that's my second favorite city, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they've come out and shocked the world, have they not? I mean, you take down 101. Well, no. You take down the Cardinals, who have Pujols, Yachty, and Wainwright's magical moments. They're walking off the field together. Then you had Pujols' record-breaking season out of nowhere. 6 homers in the first half, 18, I think, in the second. Where did that come from? And
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Yachty, and of course the Met fans are like, well, we remember those guys from 06 when they knocked us out of the NLCS. Well, the Phillies got a chance to sort of avenge that, I guess, and they did in 2 games. I don't care if it was 2 games. I think that's an interesting move to knock them out after 162 games in 2, better than 1, right? And so what are your thoughts on the Phillies? They just have run through almost everybody, including this heavy-hitting Padre team.
Well, the saga of the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies is truly an interesting one. Obviously, they started the season with Joe Girardi as their as their manager. And early on, they weren't winning. The fans were on them. You might remember Alec Braum early in the season couldn't complete a throw to first base. He couldn't field a ground ball. He was being booed off the field. One game, and it was against the Mets. He's coming back after making an error, and he uses an expletive as he walks back to the dugout, screaming to the crowd, "What the bleep do you want me to do?" Basically get off my back. They made the big signing with Nick Castellanos, a terrific right-handed hitter, who just did not have a good year until the very end. He started to pick it up a little bit, but the fans were all over him. I mean, it was brutal what the fans were doing to Castellanos. At the end of May, they fired Girardi, who had been there 2.5 years. And Girardi might have been a little bit too much of a uptight type of manager, and the team wasn't loose. And obviously, once Robbie Thompson took over, the team took off. They had a multiple-game winning streak. I think, they had a 9-game winning streak to start off. Then they lose Bryce Harper for 2 months, their best player. But that didn't stop them. They kept on winning. And Harper came back. Didn't get off to a good start when he came back from the long dry spell with the injury. But they kept winning. And then it looked like they weren't going to make the playoffs because everybody talks about the Mets losing those 3 games to the Cubs in mid-September. That cost them the Eastern Division Championship. Okay, probably did. But then the next week, the Phillies got swept by the Cubs. And it looked like the Brewers, who were absolutely dreadful down the stretch, were going to have a chance to sneak in. Well, they didn't. The Phillies got there. I didn't think the Phillies were going to beat the Cardinals. I know in 2 out of 3 anything can happen. I thought the Cardinals were going to win playing at home, and I like their pitching. But the Phillies won. Then I didn't think the Phillies were going to beat Atlanta because I thought going in, even though the Dodgers won 111 games, I thought that Atlanta was the best team in Major League Baseball, and I would consider them, if we were going to seed them, I would say they would have been the number 1 seed. But the Phils dispatched them in 4 games and really did it in a way where they were the better team. You felt like they were going to win, and they did that. Then they played the Padres. I did not think the Phillies were going to beat the Padres. I thought it was going to go long, a 6-7 game series. I thought the Padres were going to win. I thought the Padres were hitting their stride. But unlike the first 2 series, where the Padres were getting great production from the bottom of their lineup, Kim, Grissom, Nola, they didn't hit against the Phils. And Harper was tremendous. And the Phils,
except for Austin Nola hitting off of his brother Aaron. And I played the audio the other day of their father, AJ, being so nervous about the series. I mean, that was the coolest part of the whole thing. There had never been a postseason matchup between brothers like that. And, Austin Nolan's story, no one talks about it. Apparently he was in the minors for 7 years or so, and he almost quit the game of baseball. He actually did, and then came back, and look at him now. He was in the NLCS. So what a story of Austin Nola. And Aaron, I guess, was like, a draftee pretty early on in his life. In
right.
Baseball.
And I guess Austin's about 3.5 years older than his brother. So again, and playing catcher, that puts wear and tear on your body. So who knows if Austin's going to get another chance to get to the World Series. But this is an interesting World Series coming up. Obviously, the Astros are clearly the best team of the 4 that were in the AL and NLCS. They dispatched the Yankees, fairly easily. I mean, the Yankees batted 177 for the ALCS. This is a different Astro team. There's only, I believe, like 4 or 5 that are left from their 2017 controversial series, World Series victory. But it's going to be an interesting World Series. I don't think it's going to be a quick World Series. I know that the Astros are heavily favored. I know they're like a plus 170 in Vegas. You have to, if you want to win 100, you got to bet 170. I think it's going to be a long series. The Phillies have a very good lineup. Zach Wheeler gets better and better. Nola's an outstanding pitcher. Ranger Suarez is a terrific pitcher. Their bullpen, which was a Philly weakness, has continued to excel. I think it's going to be a good World Series, Alex. I do.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm just thinking back now. Wasn't Robbie Thompson on the 17 Yankee coaching staff, and now he gets to face the Astros as a manager? So I guess
I think you're right. I think he was on the 17. I think he was a third base. He might have been a third base coach for the Yanks.
Because I know when Girardi kind of left with them, and then all of a sudden he was back in Philly as the bench coach, I believe, for them, and then he took over. Anyway, so he gets a chance to avenge what the Yankees went through in 17 in the Phillies uniform. I mean, I'm just rooting for the Phillies. I know Met fans saying F the Phillies, Yankee fans saying F the Astros. I hope you're right. It's a great series.
I think it's going to be a good series. I do.
And Noah, 2 former Mets are now on the verge of winning a World Series with the Phillies, which is a tough pill for Met fans to swallow, is it not?
Well, a couple of things. Syndergaard, the Mets gave him the qualifying offer. The guy was basically out 2 years. The qualifying offer for $18.1 million. I thought for sure he was going to take it. And then the Angels offer a guy who hasn't pitched for 2 years $21 million for 1 year, and so he leaves. that was a fair offer that the Mets gave him. I mean, they had to give him. I mean, that it was a qualifying offer that's set in stone. And he did okay. He pitched okay in his first year back from Tommy John. He's a free agent again at the end of this year. Wheeler is better than Syndergaard. He's the real thing. His command, even in his last year or two with the Mets, was improved so much from his early years. And then he had Tommy John. And his command in his first 2 years with the Phillies has been outstanding. The Phillies got him cheap. They did. I mean, I think he gets 18 or 19 million. And the way pitchers are getting paid now, they got a guy in his prime who's an excellent pitcher. And the Mets, if Stephen Cohen owned the Mets 1 year earlier, Zach Wheeler would still be on the Mets. Because people forget that when the Phillies offered him the 18.5 or the 19, whatever it was, he came back to the Mets. And so I really want him, if you can match us, I'll sign with the Mets. Well, the Wilpons didn't. They knew they were going to sell the team, and they lost an outstanding pitcher. I think he's an outstanding pitcher. And with the 4 days off, with the two NLCS and the ALCS ending so quickly, both teams can set up their rotations any way they want. Wheeler started the last game in the NLCS, and I assume he's going to start the first game in the World Series. Verlander for sure is going to start the first game for the Astros. I think it's going to be an interesting series. The Phillies have a terrific lineup. The Astros don't have the offensive team that they had earlier, like in 17 or 18 when they had Springer and Carlos Correa, especially Correa before he had all those injuries. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this World Series. In 1980, in the National League Championship Series, when it was 3 out of 5, the Phillies and the Astros played an absolutely phenomenal playoff series, which the Phillies won, but it was a phenomenal playoff series. So hopefully we could see that again. Alex? Hello?
Oh, there we go. Obviously, you've got the Astros now. Real quick about Dusty Baker. I mean, come on now. He's closer than he was, I think, as a Giant manager because the Angels seemed to outmatch him 20 years ago. 20 years later, here he is. And, of course, he was the manager for the Cubs meltdown, by the way. People seem to forget that. But wasn't he there when they lost in the Meyer?
Yes, he was. He was there for the Bartman game.
This is really closest time. But before we get to him real quick, would you say that July 3rd, when I went down to Philly and surprised you, I traveled down to Philly by myself to watch them play the Cardinals, a Zach Wheeler pitch performance, by the way, when they won 4-1. That series was the turning point for the Phillies a little bit. That gave them some steam heading into the summer, didn't it?
Well, I think so. They were hot all summer. Like I said, then towards mid-September they stumbled a bit, but they were able to get in and hold on. And they have an excellent team. I mean, they really do. And now that their bullpen, like I had said earlier, is pitching so effectively, they straighten that out. They have a chance in this series. I think the Astros are going to win. I think Dusty will get his championship. But the Phillies have a chance. This is no pushover series coming up. But this could be Dusty's time.
I think so. I also think that Dusty has it sort of made, almost like Torrey did, where he just got to make the lineup, they go out and do their thing, right? I mean, that's kind of the feeling you get with the Astros. They're almost robotic in that fashion.
Well, I would say a little bit maybe, but like I said, they don't have the offensive talent that they had a couple of years ago. They can be pitched to, but what they have done is they've replaced stars who left. Springer, who went to Toronto. They replaced him with Chas McCormick, who's not as good as Springer, but he fits what the Astros are trying to do. Tucker wasn't around when they won in 17. Kyle Tucker's an excellent ball player. And then, of course, they let Correa go, and Carlos Correa was an excellent ball player, is an excellent ball player. But young Jeremy Pena just won the NLCS MVP. I mean, the ALCS MVP.
Isn't that?
So they have a good organization from top to bottom. And yes, I know they cheated in 2017. I don't know how much their cheating helped them win in 2017 because they won in 2017. They won in 2000. They went to the World Series in 2019. They went to the World Series last year. They've played in 6 American League Championship Series in a row. Interesting.
I just think the Yanks hitting was more the issue all 3 times than the Astros hitting. I got to be real with you on that one. I just think,
and I think that's a good point. And you look at the Yankees in the postseason this year. Again, they didn't hit. Harrison Bader did a great job, but they didn't get Harrison Bader to be their best hitter. And he 10 for 30, and he hit 5 postseason home runs.
That didn't stop Aaron Boone throwing him under the bus after not knowing Game 1, Game 2 leadoff spot. Like, dude, Aaron Boone, I am getting tired of, only because I can't blame him for the lack of hitting, okay? I cannot blame him for that. I can blame him for all the excuses he's made, not only this year, but over the years. It's just getting tiring, Lou, and I think this was only Tuesday, and the Yankee fans want him gone already, but they're going to take their time with this. I do think he will be fired eventually, though.
Well, the thing is, he's a player's guy. He will never criticize the players. Some people think that he's not tough enough. You hear that some Yankee players, and I know the first one is Gleyber Torres, gets criticized a lot, but there are other ones too, saying that they don't hustle. They're not on they're not on top of the game situation, and they were criticizing a bunch of players. But again, that's not here or there. I don't know what's going to happen to Boone in the off season if the Yankees are going to make a change for change's sake, because whoever comes in is going to be have to report to the analytic team. The Yankees lost to the Astros. The Astros have a better roster, number one, but Judge was 5 for 35. Gleyber Torres 176. Stanton 188. I think Trevino was 1 for 22. I mean, that's what killed him.
Lou, I might get criticized for saying this, but here's my thought. We've done this for 5 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this act for 5 years, and I will not be ashamed to say Judge has been part of that act in 5 years. He has been part of this team that failed in the postseason. Do we like a guy? And I love the guy. He hit 62 homers. He made this record season, but his postseasons have not always been up to those standards in the regular season. So it's time to wipe out everything entirely. He did turn down this offer in the spring training. I don't know what the Yankees, they say.
Which was a fair offer. That was a very fair Yankee offer.
You and I would not turn down $33 million. I will say that much.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So he bet on himself. He won. But I think if he goes, it's a loss, but it's not the loss that people think of, only in the sense of we need people in here that can produce in the postseason, and he just has not. Can I just say that for the record?
Well, do you think the fact that he now knows that he has had some postseasons where he hasn't performed to the best of his ability, hasn't come through, do you think that's going to affect his decision-making, whether to come back to the Yankees or go elsewhere? Because, let's face it, now the media, which we know is unbending, unyielding, is going to say, okay, he's going to hit 45 home runs, and the guy's a great player, no question, but we just care what he does in the playoffs. And I think he can handle the pressure, but will that affect him going somewhere else? I don't know. I don't know what you think. I'm not sure. Go to San Francisco, go somewhere else where the pressure is less. He can't go to Boston if he's looking to get away from pressure. He can't go to the Queens to get away from pressure.
No, and I'll tell you this much. His attitude is still very cocky about it. Okay, so he's like, well, we didn't get anything done in the off season. I'm a free agent now. Garrett Cole 3 years ago. I'm no longer employed by the Astros or whatever he said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My point is that these guys have this ego that they think they deserve all the money in the world. And the fact is, although Cole earned his money, I think he had a hell of a game 3 to try and stop the bleeding here. Judge has not. He's earned a regular season pay raise, but I want the postseason to work too.
So do you think that would affect him in his decision making of which team he selects going forward? I'm not sure. I don't know how you think, but
I have a feeling managerial is going to decide it. I feel like he's going to say, well, I haven't won under Boone the last few years. Maybe I got to change the scenery somewhere else and more money. I don't know. I just think Boone's going to affect a lot of players' decisions. I just have this feeling.
You could be right.
Whether or not they fire him.
Yeah, no, I don't know what if they're going to fire him or not. Remember, he doesn't get paid a lot of money, relatively speaking. So I don't know where that comes into play in the Yankee thoughts. So we'll see.
I have people say, why do you want to clean house, including Judge? Well, because we've had this 5-year experiment. That's what I'm going to call it. And it's not worked for 3 times against the Astros. So isn't it insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over, as Albert Einstein
Well,
said?
you make a good point, but I do think when the smoke clears, Aaron Judge will be with the New York Yankees. I
hope he is. I think he's a great kid to have. I don't know what happens. All these guys in the postseason just screws up.
Well, you got to remember, too, they're playing the best teams. We forget sometimes that when these guys go on hot streaks, 6 home runs in 8 games, they're not going up against the top teams, but it doesn't matter. Now, when you get to the playoffs, you're playing against the best teams, the best pitchers. So we'll see. But like I said, when the smoke clears, I think Judge will be in right field for the rest of his career as a Yankee.
And I hope he is. I think he'll be haunting the Yankees if they don't sign him. I have this mindset of how do we clean house at the same time, I guess, is what I'm dealing with. Okay, but you want to make a point when we talked off air about how isn't it something that the Phillies uprooted all these big teams, and is that something MLB needs to look at? I mean, is this an evaluation point where how could these big teams falter, or is that just baseball?
Well, now what has happened with adding the 6th team, and remember, Major League Baseball wanted to add a 7th team, and the Players Association turned them down. So if they had done that, there were 2 teams that were barely over 500, one in each league, and I forget who they were, but
would have been that 7th team at this point. And then
my point is that they've made baseball like the NBA playoffs, like the NHL playoffs. Now, do I think the 6 National League teams that made the playoffs were quality? And I think last week and the week before I said any one of the 6 National League teams could get to the World Series. And ironically, the 6th seed, the Phillies, are in the World Series. I said in the American League, only 2 teams can get to the World Series, the Yankees and the Astros. And the Astros obviously were the 1 seed, and they got to the World Series. So, I think these things do go in cycles. It makes it interesting. Baseball's not going to change it, and they shouldn't. I just hope they don't add any more teams. I really don't. I liked it when it was 5, but first of all, they had such a good postseason. Baseball's not changing.
All right, well, we've got a couple minutes left, and by the way, talking about baseball is everything. I can do that all day, as you know. But there are other teams in town, and Syracuse did have a tough loss against Clemson. We talked about them last week. But the Giants and Jets, is there something? First of all, I'm tired of the whole they're going to make the postseason at 6-1. Let's let the season play out. There's 10 more games left for the Giants, and a lot can happen in 10 games. But I think the biggest thing for the NFL, for the New York football fans, is that Breece Hall is out. And for the Jets, how do they recover from that? That's my first pressing question to you here.
Well, a couple of things what you just said. and it actually ties in with your Breece Hall comment. The Giants are 6-1, and it looks like they're going to make the playoffs. But this league is full of surprises because you never know when somebody is going to get hurt. A key player is going to get hurt. Look what happened to the Jets on Sunday. They lost their best offensive lineman for the year. The guy's a stud in Vera Tucker. This kid, Breece Hall, was going to be the AFC's Offensive Rookie of the Year. The Jets were just starting to use him in the game plan more and more. I talked about once he gets in space, he's deadly. It's a shame the kid got hurt. So I don't know if the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I think if they stay healthy, they will. The NFC did add the NFL, did add a seventh team last year to the playoffs. The Giants have done a fine job. Their coaches staff they've done a terrific job. They're in every game. Daniel Jones has, and I've been a Daniel Jones fan, has been more than serviceable. He might be on his way to being a playoff winning quarterback. I mean, he's not Burrow, he's not Justin Herbert, he's not Mahomes, he's not Allen, but he has a chance to be a pretty good quarterback. They won a game last week, which really, if you looked, and I watched the whole game on Sunday, when Jacksonville looks at the film, they blew that game. They lost it more than the Giants won it. But with some crazy
at the 1 yard
situations.
line, Lou, they just couldn't put it together. And by the way, I think the Giants, Barkley, you can't really understand where you fall. What do I say?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, when you're running that way, the intention was good. His foot just touched out of bounds. So. But
you talk about this. There's a fundamental shift going on right now where the top's being shifted to the bottom, and the bottom is, what do they say? The cream rising to the top, if you will. That's what's happening. We got the Patriots, the Bucks, and the Packers, who seem to be lost without a cause. I think Brady more so with his divorce. That's clearly playing an effect. You can't.
I agree with that. I think the divorce is the fact that Tampa has lost some of their offensive linemen to injury and retirement. They don't have the skill players that they used to. That hurts them. The Packers, their defense, which was supposed to be a stud-type defense, is not. They don't have the skilled players. Losing Devontae Adams was huge for Rodgers. I am surprised that they lost 3 in a row to the Giants, Jets, and Commanders. That is not a good sign moving forward. The Jets gutted one out Sunday. They're still a work in progress, but I thought they were going to win 4 or 5 games all year. They're 5-2. I don't know, what the future holds for them, or either the Giants. I mean, it might be a little bit tougher for the Jets because they have to play the next 3 weeks. They got to play, and I know New England was terrible last night, but they still got to play New England twice in the next 3 weeks. And Belichick is Belichick. They're not giving up. They're not going to roll over no matter what the situation is. And then next week, after they play the Patriots this week, they got to play the best team in football right now, the Buffalo Bills. So their road might be a little bit more difficult.
I love that all 3 teams. And by the way, you remind me that Buffalo's own Governor Hochul's debating tonight, so it's going to be a crazy night tonight. We won't get into that, but I'm hoping. I hope that people outside of New York City watch the debate. And I don't know if you want to weigh in on that real quick, but yeah, it's
everybody should watch that debate. And not to get political, but this is an important election coming up. I don't live in New York, so I couldn't vote. But yes, it's time to clear out the incompetence. So I think you know where I'm coming from.
Well, let me ask you one last thing then, because speaking of incompetence, was it dumb for those refs to even approach Mike Evans to maybe ask for an autograph? That's what it seemed like at first.
It is absolutely stupid. It makes no sense. I am sure that the National Football League is going to call them in on the carpet.
They cleared them. They said nothing was wrong there. Did you see that?
Oh, I did? I missed that. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, they cleared him, so I don't know if you got that update or not, but they ended up...
I did not get that update, thank you. I am surprised. Again, I don't know all the details. I don't know if they exchanged jerseys. Mike Evans gave one of the officials his jersey, and the official gave him his officiating jersey. But it just seems weird.
Well, I mean,
in my opinion,
I feel like if it's not happening in game, then it's fine. I don't know. That's just me. I know there are rules against it too, but
there are, and the NFL is pretty stringent with those rules. But
I
we'll
wait
see.
for like someone, like a ref at the the halftime or at midfield during the Super Bowl coin toss. Hey Tom, can you sign this for me?
Yeah, that's right. But
hey,
getting back
Dimes,
to Danny Dimes is doing a great job. I mean, the kid's a great athlete. I mean, he rushed for over 100 yards on Sunday. He's not afraid. He seems to get tougher as the game goes on. I like the kid. I mean, I think the kid's doing a good job. And so, an interesting game this week in Seattle.
No, and I truly believe this. I truly believe that the coaching was an issue, but Danny Dimes, as we talk about week in, week out, he's got raw talent, man. You don't run past the Eagles and maybe trip on the 20, 30-yard line and still get that run out. But no, you don't do that run for nothing, right? I mean, he's got talent there. So that
the kid is, like I said, the kid has good running ability. I think he's only fumbled twice so far, which is a huge improvement. And I really believe that he could be a Brad Johnson minimum. He could be better than that type of quarterback. And Brad Johnson won the Super Bowl in 2002 for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And he was a very good NFL quarterback.
I love Brad
And
Johnson.
you have his jersey, which doesn't surprise me at all that you have his jersey. And just getting back to the Jet situation, obviously they won on Sunday. They toughed it out. Every win in the NFL is a tough one. They lose two key guys, and then last night, Joe Douglas gets a good NFL running back. No, he's not Breece Hall. In Robinson, James Robinson, and that will help them out. It's interesting to see if the Jets do anything else before the November 1st trade deadline. Very interesting.
Well, what's funny about that is, real quick, they make this big deal about McCaffrey being traded, and yet the Panthers blow out the Bucks and the Chiefs beat the Niners. You can't make that up.
Well, you can't make that up, and really, you really think going in the natural, you would have to make that up. They traded Richie Anderson on Monday. They traded McCaffrey on Wednesday. They have no Baker Mayfield. They have no Sam Darnold. So they lost their coach 2 weeks ago. And the kid from Temple, Walker, comes in and did a great job. And Tampa Bay's got a lot of problems, my friend. They really do. They're lucky that the division is not great.
True. Well, on that note, Lou, as always, thanks for joining. Watch out for the Falcons, though. I hear they're maybe primed for something. We'll have to see. But on that note, Lou, always a pleasure with Terminello's Take. And again, Jason Benetti, keep doing what you're doing. Lou, keep doing what you're doing and join us every week. I love this.
Eddie, I love being on with you. You know that.
And we love having you, Lou. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Sports Hour. Well, I did it again. The Alex Garrett Sports Spotlight. Once again, shining on Lou Terminello. Terminello's Take number 4. You believe that? Hey, we'll be back next time. It is a big week for Disability Employment Awareness Month. We're going to talk to a few people in the field who are literally having one leg up in their fight to make sure those with disabilities are able to be hired. We'll get to that during the week. And, of course, more Alex Garrett podcasting on the way. Just stay right there. We'll be right back here on Alex Garrett Podcasting.